Hey y'all, it's Jimmy Stovall. Welcome to my podcast, Ribbon with Jimmy. Whether I'm in the restaurant or on TV, one of my favorite things is talking to people and hearing their stories. And I believe the best way to have a great conversation is over a meal. Hey Clint, welcome in.
Hey Jimmy.
It's
nice
great to have
here
It's great to have you.
in your fancy office.
Is this fancy? I don't know. It might,
Better than mine.
that's at home at your kitchen table?
Yeah.
I did that for a while.
I don't have to put on pants. So
That's a good
the
office
difference
too.
between the two of us.
They require that of me here.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah, I
since I
can
have an
see
open
that.
desk at the bottom. That would be terrible to walk in. I would imagine. Elizabeth just squish her face together. Listen to that. So I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate you agreeing to come. How my podcast works is I think that the best way to have a conversation is over a meal. And so we have an appetizer section where we just kind of get to know you. We have a main course where we get into the meat of it. Okay. And then a dessert, which is kind of rapid fire questions, short and sweet. And that's
Perfect.
good. Yeah, cool. So we'll get started. So let me introduce you to everyone listening. To me, you're one of the biggest things in barbecue. And behind the scenes and in front as well. So your website is grillocracy.com, and you're the director of Smoke and Flame. I love your titles, by the way.
Yeah, but Amazing Ribs is really...
Yep. Senior Vice President of, in quotes, whatever, for AmazingRibs.com. Yes. You won the Travel Channel's American Grilled.
I did.
Was that the one with the Battle of Beale Street?
Yes.
Yeah.
I won the Memphis episode.
How about that? You were head pit master at Sticky Fingers. You've acted as a recipe developer for Kingsford Charcoal, Smithfield, Certified Angus Beef, Omaha Steak, Snake River Farms. You're described as a backyard griller on steroids and the mad scientist of grilling. Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
That's quite a bio.
Oh, you got some more.
I should meet that guy.
You should. You were named one of the 10 Faces of Memphis Barbecue by Memphis Magazine. You grew up in Dallas, which is Texas is a big barbecue country.
Yeah.
You spent several years in Kansas City, Wisconsin, New Orleans, New York. Well, I love food in New Orleans. I think that's the best food in the world.
Yeah, that's really where I got my food legs under me.
Oh my gosh.
In New Orleans.
I'm supposed to go this weekend, by the way, but I'm not sure yet. You've got a wife, 3 kids, and the name of your dog is?
Charcoal, of course.
Charcoal. I mean, that's such a great name.
Yes.
Such a great name.
Yeah, she's a great dog.
So tell me, Grillocracy. That's your social media handles.
Yeah.
So where did that name come from?
Well, all of my handles used to be Smoke in the Eye,
Okay.
which was my competition barbecue team.
Like Smoke in the Eye.
Correct.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was my competition team for probably a dozen years when we lived up on the East Coast,
Yeah.
just outside of New York.
Was it
We were
just
living
you?
Pretty much. I was competing by my own, on my own. Every other weekend or so, I would load up my trailer and go to these contests.
But that's not what
New
you
England
did.
area.
But that's not what you did for a living.
No, I worked in PR in New York for about 20 years. So this was kind of my version of golf.
Right.
I don't golf.
It was your hobby.
Yeah, so I'd load up the trailer, go out to these contests, and these teams become your family over time.
It's a huge camaraderie. To me, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the same people every week when you're out there competing, and everyone wants to be first in a competition.
Right.
But if they can help you out in any way, shape, or form, they will be there for you.
I agree.
So
I agree. I love the competitive barbecue space. It's so fun. Everyone has a great time. You're competing, but yet everyone stops by other people's booths and speaks and says hello and talks and has a drink. And I love the atmosphere. So you just decided one day, hey, I'm gonna enter a barbecue contest, and you're a PR person in New York City.
Yeah, I accidentally ended up in New York after I graduated from college in New Orleans. My parents had actually moved up to the New York area halfway through my senior year of high school in Dallas. So I stayed there, finished up high school, went to college in New Orleans, had a blast, didn't learn anything, but
All right. Yeah.
enjoyed college and moved up there, just to figure out what I was going to do. Got a job in PR, and 20 years later, I was still stuck up there. My wife's from Memphis, so we were just two Southerners that were fish out of water.
Right,
up there.
right. So what made you get started in barbecue? Like, what was it that kind of drew you to that? Did you know someone that entered competitions? Did you just like barbecuing?
I was born in Dallas and graduated from high school in Dallas.
Yeah.
We moved around a lot in between, not because my dad was in the military. He was actually an accountant, so for whatever reason we moved. And
right.
He changed firms and whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm a Texan, and Texans love barbecue. My mother's a Texan.
Yeah.
And I remember at a young age my parents cooking briskets for neighbors. They'd have friends and family over, but they'd be up all night tending to one of those El Cheapo Brankman bullet smokers that don't have a bottom, so it's just sucking in oxygen and burning through the charcoal. So you have to just keep feeding it all night long. But I mean, I've got vivid memories of them cooking those briskets, no matter where we lived. In Wisconsin or Austin.
And so that was something they did in your family. That's something they did. They cooked briskets and gave it to a neighbor, or that maybe they moved around and that was their way of introducing themselves.
100%. And the neighbors didn't always know what was going on. So if you're living in Wisconsin and there's smoke pouring out of the backyard, you're going to call the fire department. Right. They're not used to people smoking barbecue in the backyard, especially then, in the 70s when you didn't have any kind of knowledge of the barbecue world outside of your little bubble. There wasn't barbecue television.
What I love about it is, and the reason it's so funny you said that, because the reason I do this podcast and serve over a meal is because I think it brings friends, family together, especially barbecue, and brings back memories.
Oh, it does.
It really does. My granddaddy was a big barbecue guy, and all of my memories that surround him, and he was the big patriarch of the family on both sides, and it was him barbecuing. That's what we came over for. We went to the pool and swam, and July 4th and every holiday he's barbecuing. That's what he did. And so that, to me, just the word, come over for a barbecue or grab a barbecue, it just it kind of takes me back there. And that's so funny you said that about your mom or your parents.
Yeah, I used to actually do a video series way back when. I would take my video camera to contest or whatever. Yeah. And I'd ask people, what's your earliest barbecue and grilling memory? And their faces just light up. They're like,
it's true.
Grandpa at the lake, grilling up fish or whatever the story is. Dad burning chicken on the outside and serving it to us raw on the inside, or whatever. Yeah. But it is such a fun part of everyone's childhood.
It really is. I think that there's other, there might be a lasagna for an Italian family or something like that, but for a whole class of food like barbecue, I think it really does conjure up memories and of your childhood. I love it. Everyone also has a story. Everyone has a barbecue story.
Oh, 100%,
So with Grillocracy, the name. So where did that come from?
Yeah, so I stopped competing a few years ago. We moved down to Memphis 9 years ago. I just got burnt out commuting into the city, working these stressful hours in PR. I worked in-house at some places and at agencies and whatever, but you're always on call. You know, in New York, people expect you to answer an email in the moment, regardless of time of day or whether it's the weekend and you're at the beach with your family or whatever. And plus, I was never home. We had young kids, and the commute into the city was an hour or so each way. So
And you did that for
I
20 years.
yeah, and I just got burnt out. So we started looking at places to move. We looked at Nashville and
Yeah.
Austin and Memphis. You know, I mentioned my wife is from
Right.
here, so we were down here every May anyway, visiting
Right.
her parents, and I would go off to Memphis in May and hang out with people. But yeah, we settled on Memphis and moved down a little over 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So when I did that, I started to get more and more of my professional time
Right.
turned to barbecue and grilling
Yeah.
content.
So when
I
you were
stopped competing.
when you were doing the competitions up east, what were you entering? What types of items
they
were you
were
entering?
they were all KCBS
Okay.
contest. And what happened was, you know, like I said, I grew up kind of around barbecue and grilling. But when we got our first house out in Long Island, the first thing I did was go buy a cheap smoker
Yeah.
and a cheap grill and started playing around with that. And then I stumbled across this small barbecue contest out in Long Island
Mm-hmm.
and said, hey, that would be fun. Got together some friends and we went and did the grilling portion of it. Had a good time, so I decided to try the KCBS part a couple weekends later.
Yeah.
Completely got decimated. You know, you think you're the greatest
Until
barbecuer in the world until you get out there in the competition circuit, and it's
right.
a entirely different beast.
I agree.
What you're cooking in your backyard is not going to win
Right.
for you at a competition. So
Right.
I was just decimated. I swore I would never do it again. I was over it.
But you
and
got-
then a week
you got the
later,
bug.
after that wore off, I was like, "Where's the next contest?" And so, you know, it became my release on
Yeah.
the weekends from all of this stress of work and family and all of that.
Yeah, it was
So,
your golf game.
yeah. So down here, when I'm creating content,
Yeah.
I didn't need that anymore. So
Right.
I sold the competition trailer. Smoking the Eye didn't really make much sense anymore.
Right.
I started my own blog, Grillocracy, that isn't really around anymore. You know, it's
Yeah,
still there, but
sure.
I'm so busy with Amazing Ribs.
Right.
That's my focus. But Grillocracy just came to me when I was looking at URLs. I was like,
Really?
grilling democracy,
Yeah.
Grillocracy.
There it is.
And, you know, so that's
And
what
it's
I
stuck.
am on
And it's
social
stuck.
media.
That's stuck. So in a minute, we're going to have the appetizers come out, and I decided to do wings. And the reason I did is I'm going to have two types. One are smoked wings, which, of course, in barbecue, people smoke wings all the time.
Sure.
The other are our fried drummies or fried wings, which is is a local favorite. I mean, there are people in Memphis who they're not going to have a party unless they pick up some Corky's drummies
Okay.
because they're so good. So I did both.
Now,
Here they come in right here.
Oh,
So
wow.
these are the fried, and those are the smoked. So do you do any wings at all?
You know, my thing is that I rarely cook any recipe twice.
Really?
You know, if you come to my office in the house, I've got tons of cookbooks on the shelves, and it's not just barbecue and grilling cookbooks. It's all sorts of cuisine. And I'll just flip through them looking for inspiration. I very rarely actually cook the recipes,
Yeah.
but what I look for is how can I take this recipe and transfer it to outdoor cooking?
Okay.
How do I take this Italian lasagna and give it a barbecue twist?
Yeah.
Well, throw in some pulled pork,
Instead of
use
the ground beef.
barbecue sauce instead of the tomato
Oh, my
sauce.
gosh.
And you've got a pulled pork lasagna.
How was it?
So it's pretty awesome.
It
you
sounds good.
You mix like
Same
a
cheeses?
50-50
Yeah.
ratio of tomato sauce to barbecue
Yeah,
sauce.
like a
So that-
barbecue pizza or something, that
Yeah.
type sauce. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
but
so
it's-
dig in. So this is smoked. This is fried. Have you ever had our fried drummies?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh! Dig into these
Yeah, I'm
first.
excited.
Yeah.
Do you
So
ever hit the middle ground with smoke fried?
no, we haven't. So this has a batter, or the fried has a batter that we've had for the entire time we've done wings or been at Corky's, and they just are. To me, they're like a local favorite. Like someone's not going to come to a barbecue restaurant from out of town and go,
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'm going to have the fried chicken wings, But they really are a local favorite. And I think it's the batter, an easy pickup finger food,
And as the people can tell, they're crunchy as heck.
That's right. As they should be. Aren't those good?
These are delicious.
Yeah. So these really are. It's really funny. A few friends of mine, and I've been with Corky's forever, and so we sell some. It's in the appetizer menu, but really where we sell them is for people picking up food for parties, and it's like, I need 50 drummies, or I need 100 drummies, or I need 75 of this, and so it's really like this. I love like off menu items, even though it's on the menu.
Yeah.
But the people, the locals know, that's what you get there.
You feel like you're
you're part of it.
Exactly. You know about this.
Exactly. That to me is that our drummies, the fried wings, have that same feel of an off menu type item. And then those are our smoked. So we just season them. I'm sure you've tried wings a million times. Season them. Smoke them on our hickory smokers and charcoal, and I think they're good.
Winter.
We do flash fry them at the very end. At the very end, we just pop them just for a minute, but they're good.
Those are great. You should put them on the menu.
And so
I should get a consulting fee
you really
for that.
You really should. Every time you say that's great, you need to get an extra Corky buck or something. Do you start with appetizers when you go out?
Yeah, always. Yeah, I'm a big foodie, so if I'm eating out,
you're going to try the different things.
Yeah, my wife and I don't make it out that often.
Right.
I'm cooking a lot at home, and
right.
We're cooking for the kids and just trying to feed people during the week.
Right.
And so we don't get to go out much, but when we do, I want to
try.
I want to eat my way through the menu.
Right. Right. So how did you transition?
Those are great.
How did you? Oh, that's good. See, I love that when you go back in, you're like, I'm gonna get another bite.
Yeah, you can try both.
Look at that, fried, smoked at the same time, same bite,
smoke fried.
How did you transition? Did you just from public relations to barbecue? Did you just say, I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of living this fast-paced life. I think I love this barbecue, and I'm going to go after my passion.
Yeah, I ripped open my button-down shirt,
and you had an apron.
And there was like a Kingsford logo underneath it, like Superman. No, what happened? It was kind of happenstance. When I was competing, I'm a really creative person, so I like to just come up with the craziest recipe ever.
Right.
I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, what if I did XYZ? And then I'll go to the kitchen the next day and try to make it.
Yeah.
So I started a blog, and it was pretty much just whatever crazy thing I could come up with, I would cook. And Kingsford, somehow it came to their attention.
Yeah.
And around that time, they decided to launch a consumer-focused blog on a site that was grilling.com, the best URL ever. And they approached me asking if I would want to be the editor of the site.
Wow.
They put together a group of other bloggers that would allow us to pull content from their sites.
Yeah.
One of which was Meathead from AmazingRibs.com.
Oh, that's how you met him.
That's how I met him. And Chris Grove from NibbleMeThis.com and Robin Lindar from Grill Girl and a few other ones. But so it wasn't like I had to create content 5 or 7 days a week. I could look to these people for it. And I was able to do it on the weekends or on the train ride home.
Yeah.
But slowly the site got bigger and bigger, and it was taking more and more time.
Right.
So by the time we moved down here, it was almost a full-time job. And
plus you liked it.
Yeah, it was a heck of a lot more fun than the clients I was representing up in New York, So, so that happened, and when I was doing that, I started to get approached by other people, some of these brands that you mentioned earlier, asking, could you come up with a recipe for this for our website for the summer? And it just blew up. The PR became less of my day job, and
Yeah.
the barbecue and grilling became more of the focus.
So what is it about recipes or creating food items that where's the background come from?
My mom is a great cook, and growing up, she would get us kids involved in the kitchen and have us help her make dishes. And she wasn't one of those moms that would just do Taco Tuesdays. Every Tuesday is taco, or
Yeah.
Meatloaf Wednesdays.
Yeah, Pizza
Yeah, we had-
Friday. Yeah,
Yeah, she introduced us to some interesting foods growing up, except for the one time that she told me that it was chicken fried steak and it was liver. And ever since then, I can't touch
no livers,
liver
no.
in any way, shape, or form.
I'm not a liver fan either.
I mean, foie gras may be the greatest thing in the world, but I'm not going anywhere near
Right, not
any
anywhere
kind
near
of
it.
livers. So anyway, I was introduced to the culinary world that way, and then going to college in New Orleans, I really
Oh my
started
gosh. Yeah.
to explore food and just how the depth that can be in these flavors when
Oh,
you
yeah.
start building upon them. Cajun food starts with the mirepoix.
Yep.
These very basic vegetable elements that are then transformed into these
So many
really
different flavors.
robust dishes,
Yeah.
gumbo and jambalaya, and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So, yeah, that's really where it came from. And again, looking at different recipes and seeing how I can take them over the top on the smoker and grill, or just bat SHIT crazy stuff. Like making an entire hot dog bun out of bacon, or
Ooh.
I made a
Now
pig,
that
I
right
don't-
there, a hot dog bun out of bacon.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
made a hamburger bun entirely out of macaroni and cheese. And I created a pig that was made entirely out of meat products. So it had like a belly that was made of ground sausage wrapped in bacon with little Vienna sausage nose and smoked sausage legs and a pork rind tail. And, that's the stuff that would just pop into my head. And I'm like,
Right.
maybe
I'm going to
that
make
would
that.
work. And with my blog at that point, it was a really great way to build an audience, because all
Yeah,
of these
something
sites
different.
like
Yeah.
and these sites like Eater and places like that
Yeah.
would seize upon it. And it was before social media was
Right.
where it is
right.
today. So they'd run this picture and put a URL, a hyperlink to my
your
site,
site.
and you'd see these massive spikes
Yeah.
for a day or two. So I was like, more. What else can I do?
Right.
So
And
that,
so was your wife on board with you constantly cooking and creating new things in the kitchen? She didn't care.
as long as I cleaned up the mess, I think she was all right with it.
Yeah.
Now, my brother is
I'm not a
actually
good cleaner. I'm not a good cleaner.
My
I
brother's
can make
a
the
trained
mess.
chef. My brother's actually a trained chef, and he's the worst. He'll go through every pot and pan and
Yes.
plate and everything in the kitchen,
And then
just
does he walk away?
walk away because he was cooking all day. But no, he's an amazing cook as well. So it
Really?
runs in the family.
It must run in the family. Yeah. So you always ask this in videos. Well, not always, but I feel like you've asked this plenty of times. What's one of your best barbecue competition memories, and one of your worst competition barbecue memories?
Oh wow!
See?
The crazy thing was competing up there in the excuse me, in the New York area.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, almost every contest, it was guaranteed to be a nor'easter type rainstorm.
Sort of like Memphis in May.
Gosh, it was. Yeah, but these were crazy, and so I'm competing out there alone, trying to
gosh.
get these meats injected and rubbed and onto the smokers.
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock at night, and the wind and rain is coming sideways, and the canopies are half collapsing.
Oh
and
my gosh.
the lights go out, and
You still
know,
got to
it
go
was-
on. You still got to
gotta-
turn in.
You got to go on. And I was at a contest where my canopy completely collapsed, and everything was soaked, and I was ready to go home, but I stayed and I finished the cook, and I won grand champion the next day. So I was like, maybe this wind and rain and
Maybe that's
no
your good luck
electricity.
charm.
Yeah, and I had one of those headlamps on,
Yep.
trying to prep these meats and get them ready to put on the smoker, and
Oh my!
it was the
gosh.
worst. It was freezing, and I was going to get on a train and go home. I had had enough, but I won the contest, so
Holy cow!
I decided that was the way to go.
So you went from entering just as a fun hobby to where you won competitions.
Yeah, I've got a lot of plastic trophies. I've gotten rid of a lot of them over the years, but
Yeah.
I kept some of the ones that were more sentimental to
Right.
me. The harder fought ones,
Yeah.
or I had a friend that passed away up in New York, and there was a memorial category at a contest that
Yeah.
I won, so I kept that
Oh,
trophy.
that's cool.
But so I've got one shelf in my office that still
Has your
has
trophies?
those. But that was right when barbecue pitmasters started
Yeah.
to blow up.
Yeah.
The competition scene just changed overnight.
I-
You had to have Wagyu briskets,
Right.
and you had to have squeeze parquet, and you had to have whatever they were doing on TV.
Right.
So it became
Because
a
everyone
whole other
saw,
beast.
instead of everyone having their own style, then you saw it on all those TV shows, and then you
Yeah,
started
so
to
everyone
mirror
started.
that.
Everyone
Yeah.
started cooking the same.
Right.
You started to see more and more winning competition teams doing classes.
Yep.
And it became a lot more homogenized.
Yeah.
So
And then
Yeah, it
I
was-
also think that just from being downtown here at the barbecue contest, that the judges also tend to you kind of they kind of steer year over year, whether it's the sweet or whether
Yep.
it's this, and it is more
they really
homogenized.
don't. Yeah, they really don't like for you to color outside the lines.
They really don't.
Yeah, it's
which is
it's
interesting.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
because there's some amazing barbecue sauces out there. Like if you put mustard, I'm not a huge fan of mustard sauce,
Yeah.
but say you put mustard sauce on ribs and it's just out of this world.
Right.
You turn it in a contest,
You're
you're
out.
almost guaranteed to be
Yeah.
DAL,
Right.
dead arse last.
Arse.
So yes, I'm trying not to.
you
curse.
can't do it. You're welcome to.
Yeah, my wife is the cursor
she-
in the family. so-
Okay. Oh, she
I try
is.
to-
Oh, that would be me. I
Yeah.
would be that. Yeah. So you said grand champion. So if anybody's listening is not familiar, because I have all kinds of guests on, and so if they're not familiar with that competition barbecue world, kind of explain how the winners are, and then where that grand champion kind of falls
Yeah,
in.
so there's different organizations, different organizing bodies in competition barbecue. KCBS, Kansas City Barbecue Society,
Yep.
is the largest. They've got about 15,000 members, which ironically, AmazingRibs.com, we'll get into it
Yeah.
in a bit.
Yeah.
But we've got a paid portion of the site called
Right.
the Pitmaster Club. We just surpassed 17,000 members, so we're actually
Holy cow.
bigger than the Kansas City Barbecue Society.
Right.
But anyway, up where I was competing, that was most of the contest. Down here, you see a lot more of MBN
Yeah.
contests, Memphis Barbecue Network, and MIM, Memphis in May,
Yep.
where it's really just one category at Memphis in May or two categories at most MBN contest.
When people
Kansas-
enter ribs, are you competing in ribs
Kansas City
or
Barbecue
whole
Society
shoulder
is-
or
yeah, you're talking
I'm sorry.
MBN.
Yeah, MBN. Ribs, shoulder, or whole hog.
Correct.
And then there's top 3 in each one of those categories.
Correct. At Memphis in May.
And then
And then you have
the
a grand
winner of
champion.
that one is grand champion.
So at Kansas City Barbecue Society contest, you have 4 categories. Pork butt
Okay.
or whole shoulder.
Yep.
Most people cook butts.
Yep.
Ribs, pork ribs, brisket, and chicken.
Okay.
And you have to compete in all 4 to be grand champion.
Okay.
I mean, maybe there's a way if everyone else is just horrible and
Right.
your score somehow wins, but
but you
usually
have to cook and
you have
compete in all 4.
yeah, and your scores are added together. and
Versus
whoever
here,
has
you cook in one.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so and the tough thing is competing alone, the turn-ins are 30 minutes apart.
Oh my
So
gosh.
you've got to really have everything timed
Yeah.
down to the T so that the brisket is done on time, the same time that the pork butt as
Chicken.
the chicken, as the ribs. So I had a pretty comprehensive spreadsheet as far as the different times, like
Yeah.
rub the chicken, put the chicken on the smoker, take the ribs out, wrap the ribs, put the ribs back on, check
Yeah.
the temperature of the pork butt, blah, blah, blah. And garnish is part of it.
Right.
So at Memphis in May and MBN contest, there's no garnish in the box.
Just the styrofoam
it's
box.
it's the meat, which is
Yeah,
nice.
right.
But at those contests, they want the box to be pretty. So
Yeah.
you're doing these intricate parsley beds where people are in there with tweezers
And toothpicks and-
like
yeah.
little kids in there with their tiny fingers,
Yeah.
picking out the very best ones and
Yeah.
getting them in there, and then putting
Making
the
the
meat
little
on.
rosettes and all the
Yeah, and putting the meat on top of that. So that was another thing, in between all of this stuff.
Right.
Competing alone, I had to do these boxes as well. And
Wow.
so it was a lot, and you're pretty wiped out by the time you're done.
Yeah.
Because you get through awards and you're excited about all these plastic trophies that you just bought for $1,200.
That's right, that's right,
After
that's
all
right.
the meats and entry fees.
But they liked yours the
and-
best, and it's the competition. It drives you. I mean,
But
it
then you
does.
got to load up all your stuff.
I
by
know,
yourself
loadout's a
and-
terrible day.
and drive home. So I don't know. For some reason, it was fun though.
So when you did the American Grilled, so how did you get picked on for that show?
It was, I think, it was just a Facebook casting.
And you
where
saw it.
Yeah, the producer, casting director reached out and asked if I'd audition. And, I've done a ton of these. I don't know if you've ever done them, but you do a phone call with a casting
Right.
director. They ask you a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
If they like you, they'll follow up with a video interview, usually by Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they take those tapes, present them to the network, and the network decides who's going to be on the show. And most of the time, it's not just your skill, but it's the character that they're trying to fill.
Of course.
You got to have this sassy
Yes.
redhead from the Bronx or
Right,
whatever.
right.
They don't want them all to be
Yeah. The same.
same look and feel
Yep.
and accent and all of that. So
So
now
what
that
did-
kind of has played to my detriment over the years because I'm just a white,
guy.
average-looking dad from Long Island or from Germantown.
I think that I think that might help you in some things.
yeah,
because-
maybe.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
the
The unexpected.
So I got selected for that contest. Me and 3 other competitors.
And how'd you decide what to cook, or did they tell you?
No, what it was a Iron Chef type of thing. And
Or they gave you the stuff?
yeah, and I think we were supposed to shoot over 2 days, but something happened or no, there was like a possible tornado that came through. We were down
See,
shooting.
the weather. I just told you the
Yeah,
weather.
we were-
you won a grand champion up there when the
Yep.
Easter
Oh, that's right.
tornado.
Yeah, I didn't
that's your
think of
that's
that.
your good luck charm.
So we stayed at a hotel out in Germantown, about 5 minutes from my house. They wouldn't let me stay at home, but we loaded up at about 5 in the morning, went down to Beale Street, started shooting, and then this possible tornado rolled through. So we went into one of the hotels down there.
Yeah.
And we're not staying at the hotel, but they've got like all the cameramen in there, us competitors, and we're eating the free breakfast and
You took
just
over.
taking advantage. We took over the hotel, and eventually we get out there and start doing
Yeah.
the thing, and it's all in real time. So they unveil the ingredients, and then the first round we had let's say 20 minutes
Yeah.
to cook, and there were 2 ingredients. So you create your dishes, and then you present them to the judges.
Yeah. And Claire Robinson was a judge.
Yes.
Who I met at the New York Food and Wine Festival in New York
Oh, okay.
2 years ago, I believe. and
Yeah, she's
great
person.
And
then Kelly English,
and then
as
she
well.
just has a new show on the Food Network, and I haven't seen her since then.
I haven't turned on the Food Network in a long time. I thought it was just Guy Fieri.
The picture that we took is in her roll-in of her new show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was so. I think the network or somebody had asked me for a release for the photo, and I'm like, of course. I didn't know what it was for, and it's on the roll-in. I was I was very honored. I'm very honored.
Yeah,
which
cool.
I thought was really, really cool. Yeah, she's great. And so, your first entry. What you had 20, 30 minutes, whatever. What was it? Do you remember?
Man, no, it's all kind of a blur. I haven't rewatched it since we had a watch party for it. But it may have been. I think it was smoked bologna.
Okay. Oh,
was
that's
one of the first ingredients.
That's one of my favorite barbecue items.
Yeah, so I did an appetizer where I wrapped the smoked bologna in bacon.
Oh my gosh.
Pork on pork action.
Yeah.
And I smoked some whole grain mustard and did it on crostini, and maybe cabbage was an ingredient. So I did like a pickled cabbage on there or something. Yeah. But that was the first one. And then they eliminated one person after that round. The judges tasted them, and 3 of us moved on. And the next round was 3 ingredients, and you had a little more time, and they got rid of one person, and then it just came down to 2 people for the final
and you
round.
And one other person.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what they're about to show you of the food's going to be.
No idea what the food is going to be. So, and then they had a full pantry there, so you could run and get stuff. And you've got like 3 or 4 cameramen on you at all times, and you're trying to run back to the pantry to get something, and you turn back around and barely miss a cameraman, and they kept trying to get me to like trash talk the other competitors.
The other one, of course.
And I was like, I know it makes great TV, but I'm here for $10,000.
Right.
I'm just going to focus.
I just want the money.
If it's bad TV in the end, it's bad TV. But I'm going to the bank with $10,000.
And you ended up winning.
Yes, and we shot it all in one day. And by the time the last round was finished, it was about 7:00 at night or so. They brought me back to the hotel, and you may not know this, or maybe you do, but all of those cutaways during those cooking shows where the competitor is like, I'm looking at this chicken and I just don't know what to do.
Where they're like an interview kind of.
I'm just screwed at this point. I don't know.
Right.
Well, all of that is shot after the fact.
Right.
And I'm exhausted. My mind is fried. And they want you to go back through all 6 hours of the taping.
Right.
And be like, what are you thinking when you put this mustard on? And I'm like, I'm not thinking anything. I'm thinking of going to bed and waiting for my check. But I got to film all these outtakes. And so it was about 11:00 at night. And we wrapped up, and you're not allowed to tell anyone except for maybe like your parents and your wife. Your spouse.
Right.
So I had to keep it on the DL.
How was it? How long was it before it aired?
It was a while. It was like a couple months.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell anyone. And we set up a viewing party here in Memphis and went and watched it live with friends and family.
Yeah.
And my kids had no idea until they announced at the end.
That's so cool.
It was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I think they're about to bring us some ribs, and I picked some dry ribs because they're my favorite.
Yeah, that's.
I figured you like dry ribs as well, and I did. To me, that's Memphis style ribs. 100%. Did some baked beans and some potato salad. So just kind of dig in what you want, grab what you want, and so since we're at ribs.
By the way, I'm putting some of these wings in my pocket for the drive home.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So while you dig into those dry ribs, I'll kind of give everybody home.
Beautiful.
Aren't they? I love dry ribs.
Yeah.
I like ribs in general, but especially dry.
You really get to taste the
depth
meat.
of flavor. Yeah.
Not buried under a bunch of sauce.
Right.
I really like.
That's exactly. I think that's maybe what it is. I also like kind of the grittiness of. I think the texture of a dry rib. I like.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's kind of a grit, and you know, and seasoned, and then the flavor inside the rib. You know, just kind of adds to it. But I think I do like the grit kind of the texture.
And you guys got a nice balance of the finishing rub on there. It's not too much, but it does just give that pop of flavor at the end.
So now I took a huge bite.
Yeah. It's the way to do it. You were the one that came up with the concept, not me.
I know, it's okay. I mean, I sell food on TV and all the time, and I realize how little that I actually eat, but the hosts eat all the time while they're talking, so I'm learning that part.
Man, that's not to get off topic, but for a while I worked for a fashion designer, this guy Mark Echo. If you remember the Rhino Echo Unlimited hip-hop apparel back in the day, that was Mark, and everyone thought that he was a black guy, running this hip-hop line. He was a white Jewish kid from New Jersey.
Really?
But anyway, he ended up being a judge on Iron Chef on several occasions because he, like me, was a huge foodie. He actually had a kitchen in his office in addition to a basketball court. We had like 7 different apparel brands and a magazine and a video game. So it was...
You've had such a fascinating...
It was a fun job to have because you'd get these celebrities rolling through and whatever. But anyway, Iron Chef, as his PR guy, I would go to these tapings with him, and they were taped like my show in real time. Once you got the secret
it was real. It was timed.
Secret ingredient. It was timed. But between that, it was just resetting and all of this stuff. So an hour-long show took 5 hours to tape.
Right.
And they don't feed you. Mark's up there eating all this delicious food, and I'm sitting there in the audience for 5 or 6 hours.
Starving.
Watching the chefs prepare all this stuff, just dying. It was horrible. But then, like you, when I started competing, I couldn't eat for the weekend. It was really hard for me to even force myself to eat something.
Well, you're so focused.
Yeah, I'd eat nutrition bars or whatever, but plus you're looking at the meat, you're trimming it, you're injecting it, you don't want meat.
It's different than
I'd go home and order tacos or something.
Pizza or something.
Yeah, something non-barbecue.
All right, so now that I brought ribs out and you're with AmazingRibs.com, so tell me how you met Meathead and how that startup sort of blossomed into your career, or you're the what is it?
Senior vice president
of whatever. And so how did that start, and what do you work on a continual basis with them? I know it's an amazing site, and before I let you answer, I think that is the site that anyone, whether they are in barbecue already, they love barbecue, or they're just starting out, I think that's the site that everyone goes to because for resources, not just to learn about recipes, because you can find recipes everywhere, but techniques and hearing the science behind it and understanding it. Because once you understand it, I think that you become a better barbecue guy. Or
1,000%.
So anyway, now
I mean, Meathead is a genius at that, just debunking myths and really getting in there and getting dirty with it all. I'm more of a recipe guy, but he really brings the science to life.
And so why do you think the science is so important, and why that's become such a big thing? I think that because that's really kind of where Amazing Ribs kind of came from. What is it? You think that it's so people understand it better?
Yeah, I think people are genuinely interested. Not all people. There's people that are just focused on getting the ribs done and eating them. But understanding what a smoke ring is and how it gets there, or why I should rest my meat or not rest my meat, which Meathead has debunked as well, and why beer can chicken isn't something you should be doing from a health and safety standpoint. So he gets into a lot of that stuff. But as I mentioned earlier, when I was editing this site, grilling.com for Kingsford,
Yeah.
he was one of the VIP bloggers that I would pull content from. So we met each other at a couple of different Kingsford events. They took us out to Vegas for a big blogger weekend. So we got to know each other, and the weirdest thing happened. This is corporate America for you.
Yeah.
Kingsford is owned by Clorox, and Clorox got a new president or CEO who decided that spending money on a URL, grilling.com, was not a good use of funds.
Wow.
So they shut down this consumer blog, and it was such a great site because it wasn't hit you over the head.
Right.
Kingsford, but in the recipes or the dialogue, it would mention start up the fire with Kingsford briquettes or whatever.
Right.
But it was more about the recipes and techniques
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So this guy decided to shut it down, and we had a few years worth of content posting 4 or 5 times a week with this amazing content, and they just flipped the switch and turned it off and redirected all the traffic to kingsford.com, and that was it. So Meathead was starting to, his site was getting bigger and bigger. We were kind of on par,
Yeah.
grilling.com and amazingribs.com at that point. So he wanted to grow the team and asked me if I knew anyone that would want to come on and kind of help develop new content,
Right.
allow him to do some other things. I think he was starting work on his cookbook, which is now a New York Times bestseller and just
Absolutely.
sells like crazy. And he's working on the second one. But anyway, he started building up this team, some tech people to help with SEO. And I said, heck, we shut down grilling.com. I'd be interested.
Yeah.
And so I came on, and my role just kept evolving. As he was working on this book and things, I took on more and more of the day-to-day responsibility and kind of became his left hand or his right hand, depending on if you're looking in the mirror.
Right.
So today we're kind of partners in crime and really good friends. And, he challenges me and I challenge him.
That's a good thing.
We've grown the site exponentially.
So if nobody,
that's where my title came from.
So if anybody hasn't been there, that's listening, hasn't seen the site, kind of explain what features the site has and why you think that so many people flock to the amazingribs.com to see your content.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the deepest barbecue and grilling site out there as far as content goes. And it's not just about the recipes. We've got a guy, Max Good, whose full-time job is doing smoker and grill reviews. So he's doing hands-on reviews instead of a lot of sites where
unpaid. There's no
sponsorship.
There's no sponsorship.
Yeah,
so it's a true. It's like TripAdvisor.
It's truly unbiased, and he's applying the same different elements of his test to every single one. So he'll put bread on
it's a fair
surface to see if the cooking temperature is even across the board.
Yeah.
And, all of these different things that he puts into it. So if you're doing a side-by-side analysis, the reviews are pretty much lined up. So he's
it's
doing
a great place for reviews.
Yeah. And then you've got the science, Meathead in there debunking whatever.
Let me tell you why I think the science is important.
Yeah.
Because I think that barbecue in itself, and obviously there's competitions all over the place. There's chili cook-off and there's wing contests, but there's nothing like barbecue contests, in my opinion. So it's already a competitive nature, which means that you're proud of what you cook and what you do, right?
Sure.
Because just like your mom or dad would do the brisket and give it to their, give it to a neighbor, give it to a friend, because they were proud. They wanted to remember them by that.
Yeah.
So to me, the science, what it does is it gives you the explanation And so that when you're cooking barbecue or you're serving it to somebody, you can speak to it with some authority, which gives you that level of expertise. And I think that's maybe people might not, you might not understand every little piece of it, but if you learn that part of it, and I think it's always about what you can give back. So when you're feeding someone else, which is what barbecue is, sharing it with friends, you can explain it, and it gives you that authority. It gives you have the knowledge, you've studied it, you've learned it. And so I think that's appealing on that site.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a great example of something that I never did until I started working with Meathead, but this idea of dry brining, where you pre-salt meat and let it
I have a question about that. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
That's something that I had never thought of doing, never did. So Meathead's a big proponent of not having salt in
the
rubs.
rubs. Yeah.
We prefer to pre-salt it or dry brining,
and why? And why does he think that, or why does he feel that pre-salting it before you put the rub on, that there's a difference? What's the difference in his mind?
Yeah, now you're getting into the science and stuff that he knows best. But, I mean, it's got to do with the salt being able to actually penetrate into the meat, and it also draws some moisture out. So, I do it now with steaks a lot, and you really see it there. I'll pre-salt the steaks, put them in an outdoor fridge overnight on a cooling rack so you get the air circulating around.
Because you kind of want it to dry.
Yeah.
So it's like patting a steak off with a paper towel.
It's not only salting the meat, but it's pulling that moisture out.
Yeah.
So it does it looks redder, but a little dried out on the outside.
Right.
But it's almost like a poor man's dry-aged beef. You're really intensifying that beef flavor by drawing out some of that moisture, but you're not losing moisture to the extent that you cut into the steak at the end, and it's horrible. But, when you start doing marinades and things like that, and you can see it on the site, that stuff barely penetrates the meat. I mean, there's an image that Meathead has on there where he has food dye in a marinade and marinates it for God knows how long. But you cut into it, you see this little 1/8 strip of green on the outside. So you're wasting all of this.
Yeah.
But the salt really makes meat pop. So, you pre-salt it or dry brining.
Yeah.
Very similar to a wet brine, but you're just salting the outside. And then when you get ready to actually cook the meat, you do a rub that doesn't have salt in it because you don't want to double up on that.
Yeah.
That
and then that grabs that flavor of that rub.
Yeah. So you're getting the flavor of the rub on the outside, but all of those other elements in the rub aren't getting drawn into the meat. So why pre-rub them? Yeah.
So at the AmazingRibs.com, you've got the science, you've got recipes, you have
ratings
and reviews,
and then we have the Pitmaster Club, which I mentioned earlier.
So tell me more about that.
So that's 17,000 members strong. It's a paid portion of the site, and it's basically a barbecue and grilling community. These, I kind of, I do refer to them as the tastemakers of backyard cooking. These are the folks that neighbors and friends and family go to when they need help with how to make a pork shoulder or whatever, or what grill should I buy? You're the guy that's always back there cooking. I'm going to go to
the influencer, essentially.
Yeah. It's he is. He's the influencer of the neighborhood. So these guys, they've got a community in there where they come together and ask each other questions and whatnot. There's a bunch of free elements. We've got free magazines that they get, exclusive deals. But it's a online barbecue.
It's an online paid. It's a paid subscription. That part of it.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of content that's free, and then on the paid side, it's a a group, but a big group.
It's a
of experts.
Value-added community of like-minded barbecuers and grillers.
Yeah, they can share ideas and more expertise.
Yep.
Yeah, which to me, everybody in the barbecue space, they always want to know what someone else is doing. Maybe they want to get better, and so that's a great
lot of
way.
It's like, it's almost like Instagram where you're trying to one up the other guy with your food
with your
photos.
photo.
Like, look at these ribs that I did last night.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's a little bit of friendly rivalry in there, but also, asking each other questions or having our team go in there and answer questions for folks.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then, so do they share their tips or tricks or secrets within there? Or, so people ask questions, people answer.
People will share their own recipes.
Yeah. Like, hey, I cooked this. This turned out great. Here's how I did it.
Yeah. And I consider myself a pretty good food photographer. I had to teach myself how to shoot food when I was doing the grilling.com site.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy art.
Somebody
like Justin Fox Burks here in Memphis is just a god at doing it. So I pale in comparison to him, but it's
so with that, because so many people post pictures of food, what are a couple of suggestions to them? I mean, I know there's all kinds of filters, but I take pictures too of food. I think it's the angle that I look for. Lighting, of course, but really the angles, not a boring angle. What are your thoughts? If somebody wants to post better pictures of food.
I think Meathead and I both agree on this, that Instagram has kind of got people stuck in a food photography rut where it has to be the overhead shot.
Yeah.
And you won't see a lot of those overhead shots on our site. We really try to, at least I try to go for a full composition.
Yeah.
Tell a story in that photo and have different bright and vibrant colors in there. So it's not just the hamburger.
Right.
It's the rest of the story
in the background and the lifestyle of it, really.
Yeah, and you always want to shoot in thirds. So whatever the food is should be 1/3 of that image, whether it's the bottom third quadrant or
the middle
horizontal or vertical. You want
that's
that
a great
featured
tip.
image to be 1/3, and then whatever else is going on around it to just be filler to, kind of complement it.
Yeah,
not away,
overpower.
And if you've got a camera that'll do the focused hard focus and then the soft focus in the background, you want that hard focus to be on.
And it should be
the meat of the game.
It should be 1/3 of the photo.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
that's a great tip.
Always when you're looking at food to take a picture, try to think in that 1/3 mentality.
Yeah.
So it's not just real close up of the burger and
nothing else. Yeah. Right. No, that's great. And tell the story.
So anyway, that's one thing that you really see in the Pitmaster Club. These people's photography skills
I'm sure.
just get better and better. I think they push each other to up their skills.
Well, I mean, you eat with your eyes first. I mean, you take a look. It's so funny because when they brought this food into us just now with the ribs and the beans and the potato salad, I noticed that they sprinkled some bacon bits and chives on top of the potato salad.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And before I even taste it, I'm looking at it like, oh my gosh, that looks so good with the bacon bits on top. You do eat with your eyes first.
Contrast to the colors.
Absolutely.
The chives add a little bit of green in there and whatever. But, people are going to be photographing that at their table over in the restaurant right now because it looks so damn good.
Exactly. So what, so with the paid portion of the website, how much is it?
Right now it's $23.95. We're going to do the first ever price increase in the history of the Pitmaster Club to a whopping $34.95.
Oh wow, whopping!
So
and how long is that for? Is that a year?
The $23.95 is for a year.
A year.
So that's pittance when you.
It's not even a cup of coffee.
What you pay for a Starbucks cappuccino or your Netflix account
or
and
one
Hulu
cookbook.
and all of
One
this stuff.
cookbook is about that.
Yeah, so the price increase is nothing in the
nothing.
grand scheme of things.
Sure.
And the nice thing is we're actually going to grandfather in all 17,000
Oh, wow.
members, or anyone that gets a membership, even
Yeah.
our 30-day free trial
Yeah.
before the September 1 deadline.
Yeah.
They're all going to be grandfathered
Grandfathered
in
in.
for, you can't say forever,
No,
but
but
for
yeah.
as long as we can, they'll be at that set current rate of $23.95.
But even if you
versus-
like great recipes and you buy cookbooks or you constantly look online,
yeah,
I mean, $24 or whatever, I mean, is nothing and it's like a continual, ever evolving one with all kinds
Yeah.
of other things. So
yeah, and I mean it's
it's
we do a huge
insignificant.
we
to
do
me.
a huge giveaway every month where you can win like a $2,000 smoker.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of free magazines that are exclusive to them.
Yeah.
Meathead and I do this thing called the Happy Hour on Zoom every other month.
Oh, so you get
where
to
we
meet
pick
you. Yeah.
Yeah, where we pick a topic and have some experts come in and talk about pellet cookers, or we just did a virtual bourbon tasting. So this company actually, you could buy the samples online, get them shipped to you, and then the master distiller took everyone through each one of them
When you
during
got
this
it.
virtual happy hour, and you could taste along regardless of where you were in the country.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
that's kind of
There's
cool.
a few areas of commerce that are doing that. I've actually worked with and talked to, even from comedians and different things where
Yeah.
you get it at home and then you get a special sign in, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's a neat idea. So they're just neat expansions of the topics that we're already discussing on
Right.
the site or in the Pitmaster Club, but it allows us to bring in experts and just get down and dirty for
Yeah.
an hour and a half or 2 hours like we're doing here.
And so, how engaged are the people in the club?
During the happy hour
No,
events?
just in general.
I mean, it depends on the member. There's some that, for whatever reason, signed up 4 years ago, continue to pay their dues, but have never been in there.
Wow.
I mean, it could be them just wanting to support a site that
Sure,
they love.
sure.
Because, that money, just like
Yeah.
ad revenues and
Absolutely.
everything else, we're not getting money from the manufacturers to
Right.
do our smoker and grill reviews. So you got to keep the lights on somehow.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
pay my salary and keep my kids fed.
That's right. with all of your recipes that you come up with in the middle.
Yeah,
of the night.
so it's it's a cool little group. So those happy hour events have been something fun.
Yeah.
And it all evolved out of COVID.
Right.
Nobody, maybe the board members at Zoom had heard of Zoom, but nobody had heard of Zoom
No, that's true.
pre-COVID. But now everyone knows Zoom, and
Yeah.
everyone's doing Zoom
It's an everyday word.
meetings, and so it was something that we had kind of
But
played around with trying to do.
But it's created a very cool experience now.
Yeah, it's live, it's interactive. You can
Yeah.
see the Amazing Ribs team, and you can see the experts, and
Right.
kind of play along.
I think
bring your questions, and the experts will answer them.
right.
And so it's cool.
I love it. I love it. So do you, when you cook barbecue,
Yeah.
do you make your own rubs always?
No, that was something that I did the first couple of competitions that
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And then somebody very wise, a competitor that had been competing for a while, I went to him for advice after I got beaten so bad at that first contest.
It was
And
sunny
that
and
was
nice, that contest.
Yeah. So I just got talking to him, and that was one of the first things he told me. He was like, why spend all that time and money trying to create a perfect rub in your kitchen when there's all of these great ones out there?
Yeah.
Here's some that I'm using. Why don't you try those?
And you can mix them.
Yeah. And, you can spend a fortune trying to create your own rub once you get 14, 16 or more elements in
Yeah.
there. And it may be horrible, so you're dumping it in the trash and then trying to play
Yeah.
scientist
And then did I
again-
put a teaspoon in, or did I put a tablespoon?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of core rub recipes on the site,
Yeah.
and we're actually going to for the first time ever start selling
good.
a handful of our rubs.
Yeah.
Our Memphis Dust rub
Yeah.
is very popular. The bottled ones will actually have salt in them, whereas on the site you
Yeah.
don't have the salt.
Right.
Going back to our
Right.
discussion on dry brining, but yeah, we'll be selling those as soon as the manufacturer gets them out the doors.
Right.
So we'll have that one. We'll have a beef rub and a poultry rub, but it's the same recipes that you can get on the site. But if you're in a hurry,
Yeah,
you
here
can
you
grab
go.
a bottle at
That's
Home
right.
Depot or wherever it's
Yeah.
being sold and
Right.
get that Memphis Dust.
That's great.
So anyway, I use commercial rubs now
Mm-hmm.
and commercial sauces. One tip that I like to share is creating a signature sauce of your own, but without all of the headache of coming up with the ingredients.
So
and doing
your
huge
thought is use a
batches.
rub, but create a
Mainly-
sauce that's
No,
yours.
mine is to take a commercial sauce,
Okay, and doctor
like
it
a
up.
Casey Masterpiece,
Uh-huh.
and then doctor it up
Or
and make it
Corky's
your
Clint.
own.
Or Corky's
Oh,
Clint. We're sitting
100%
here.
Corky. Well,
No kidding.
see, the issue with that is that it's already perfect. So why are you going to mess
good
around?
answer. Wow, you're good.
You know, you got the honey one, you got all the different
Yeah.
ones. So why mess with that?
That's
but I'm
right.
talking about taking
The other
something
ones.
that's not good.
And
I'm
making it
not going
better.
to name any names. but
Right.
You take it and make it your own. So you add jams or jellies to it.
Okay.
You add smoked paprika or
Yeah.
chipotle powder, or one thing that I love to add to barbecue sauces is squeezed margarine.
That's such a big thing at competitions. It's everyone has a. Why do you think it is?
Adding it to sauce, it just takes sauce to a different level because you're adding that richness to
And
it.
but it
the
also thins it
the
out a little
squeeze-
bit. When
No,
it
the
warms up,
squeezed
no?
margarine won't solidify, so it blends into the sauce well.
Where
And-
butter, if it gets the temp cools off, it will. it will
Yeah, if you
solidify.
melt the
Yeah.
butter and then put it in the sauce. But it adds a whole different level of richness to a barbecue sauce. So I love to do that. But, you can add cherry juice and reduce the sauce a
Yeah.
little bit. You can do a number of things, and then you can tell your neighbors legitimately, this is my signature sauce.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, squeezed parquet became a thing
Yeah.
back in the barbecue pitmaster days because this guy Johnny Trigg would show up with blue squeezed parquet bottles and squeeze them all over the ribs.
And everybody's like,
And
"What are all those? I'm going to do
everyone,
those."
everyone had to do it.
Well, butter or flavor, whatever, it makes
That's-
everything better.
I mean, but that's the downside with competition barbecue.
Yeah.
Judges are taking one or two bites, so you want that one bite to really pop.
It has to have every flavor.
So
and
they're
every-
adding the squeezed marjoram, they're adding brown sugar,
Yep.
honey,
Yep.
all these things to the ribs to make them super sweet for that one or two bites.
Yep.
But you eat that at home and you're in a
No, you
diabetic
can't-
coma.
Yeah, you can't have.
Or you have
Oh,
all
yeah.
these phosphates that they're injecting the pork and the brisket with.
Right. Because it's just a bite. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one bite.
Yeah. So, I'd end up with all these leftovers after contest, and you can't even, they're not
What,
something you'd want to eat at home.
right. What's your favorite cut of meat for barbecue?
For
And
barbecue?
is it brisket? Is it ribs? Is it pork? Or what? Chicken?
It's hard to say. If I just had to go to one meat, it would be the fatty point of a brisket.
See, I love brisket.
Yeah,
Like,
if I'm,
I know I'm in pork country and I sell pork for a living, but
yeah,
I
if
love
I'm,
a good brisket.
If I have to go out to a barbecue restaurant, and only in Texas, because I'm a Texan,
Right.
and I'm not going to tell people to go and get brisket, no matter how good it is, at
right,
anywhere in Memphis.
right.
But our son is starting his second semester at his second year at UT Austin.
Yeah.
So when we go down there, I get some great brisket, but I'm always going for the fatty point. Mm-hmm. It's the lean, the regular flat that you traditionally get
Yeah.
sliced brisket from is awesome.
Yeah.
But that point is just fatty and meaty and delicious, and you get a lot of bark on on
Yeah.
there. That's where burnt ends.
See, I
come
love
from now
burn ends. Yeah.
in restaurants.
We're actually doing some pork burn ends just from the butt.
Oh yeah, that's pimpin'.
But God, they're good.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, I love beef. Beef's amazing. The brisket burn ends are amazing.
Yeah.
But these pork burn ends that we're doing, they're good.
Now what cut are
We're
you
just
making
doing
them out
we're
of?
just from the butt.
Okay.
So cubing it, smoking it, seasoning.
Oh, wow.
And then we put it in sauce. We're doing it at QVC. I sell it at QVC, and we have them at a couple of groceries here locally. And
Really?
the cool thing about it is
I have not
it's
seen
like in a
those yet.
tray, like our pulled pork, you've had it or whatever.
Yeah.
So you just heat it up in there, and so when you're heating it, the sauce is already on it. So then you're actually causing the caramelization at home, versus
Oh,
it
that's-
because
yeah,
you
that's
have to
brilliant.
you have to think of it ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling you, it's really
No, that's-
good. Yeah.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but you're doing it.
I love it. That I need to get that on a shirt, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Pimping ain't easy, but I'm doing it.
Again, add that to my consulting fee. My PayPal account is Clint at getmethemoney.com.
So when you cook and you come up with these recipes, are you more of a measuring person? Or are you a dash of this, a little shot of that?
That was a really tough thing for me to get used to when I started actually writing recipes.
Yeah.
Because I'm entirely like, I've got a pretty good feel of what needs to be added to
Yeah.
balance out flavors, balancing the sweet and the heat and the salty and the savory and
Yeah.
the umami and all of that. But man, when people are, especially on Amazing Ribs, where you've got an infinitely larger audience than I ever did in my
Yeah.
blogs, where people are actually going to go and cook the recipes, you have to be pretty precise.
And you
because-
also have to test it.
yeah, because
I did my-
otherwise people are going to call you out and be like,
I know. This doesn't work.
this is horrible. I spent 24 hours making
and
this
money.
brisket,
Yeah.
and your instructions to add 40 cups of salt instead of a quarter teaspoon of salt or whatever.
Right.
It just cost me $80 and infinite amounts of time with my kids that are
It's so true. It
they're
sounds
gonna
so,
resent me forever because of you.
the funny thing is it sounds such like common sense. Oh, it has
Yeah.
to work. But there's so many cookbooks and the recipes they don't always work.
No.
The one thing when I did my book, Cooking with Corky's, is, the food photography. I mean, I still have all the photos. They're amazing photos. But what we wanted to do, and most of the photos in there, to tell you the truth, we wanted to make sure that someone at home could make this recipe just without us talking to them, or this is how it should look or whatever. And so we had a recipe party at my house, where we invited, I don't know, probably 80, 100 people, I don't know. And we sent them out a recipe, and then they made it and brought it because we wanted the feedback to make sure everything worked or didn't. But we
that's smart.
also shot the pictures of what they made. So it really looks like, it's
wow.
not like our vision of what it should look
Yeah.
like. It looks like that's how it's going to look,
Yeah,
because
that's
someone else
cool.
made it.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of, and like I said, I didn't realize that was a thing until I got into that process.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, what's going to be a great way to make sure this works? Because, I could make it again, but it's going to come out right, because I might not follow the directions exactly
Yeah.
because I know how to make it. But when you give it to someone else to make,
Yeah, you're kind of biased. It's your recipe.
exactly.
so
You're kind of like,
gonna-
oh, well, I put a little more of that,
Yeah.
But really, with this party, and everyone brought everything, and it was really, really cool because we got to see exactly what that would look like. And then a couple people were like, it didn't work that great, but this is what we moved. And so then
Yeah.
we paid attention to that. A couple of things, one in particular, one person came, they were like, this costs like $40 to do, and I'm not doing this
Yeah.
again. And I was like, okay, that's good to know too.
Yeah.
Because it was just like a side dish. And it was great, but she was like, I would never
Yeah.
do this because it costs
Why
a
am I
fortune.
why am I gonna buy all of these
Exactly. I
chanterelle
could've-
mushrooms for an eighth of a teaspoon
Yeah,
that
so
you're
is
not
it-
going to taste?
I think testing is and getting it precise
Yeah, I
is
had
very important.
I had to force myself to have a notebook there and make the notes.
Yeah.
And, to actually keep track of what I was doing. But then, I'm ADHD or whatever.
Yeah.
I do like 3,000 things at once.
Right.
I've got 2 computers. And
Yeah.
I'm watching TV in my office at the same time and checking stuff on my phone and whatever. So I'll get pulled off onto some new tangent or whatever, and then I'll go back to these notes and I'll be like, what the hell was I writing?
That was a line in the TV show I was watching.
So then that had to be another element of it. I had to take my notes and then immediately go and type them up so I didn't forget.
Yeah. What was your first job? To spin the cycle a little bit.
My first job was I forged my birth certificate so I could get a job at Wendy's.
Because you weren't old enough?
No, I wasn't old enough. I was 15. So I got a job
made
at
yourself
Wendy's.
16.
And, got a job there. And then I somehow became a manager of a tanning salon at the age of 16.
What?
I was managing the place. And it was a cool job in the fact that not that many people ever came.
Right.
But the uncool part was that when they did come, they'd get really sweaty. More people, some people more than others, and you'd have to go and clean these sweaty beds afterwards. And it was not a lot of fun. But yeah, I did that, and I worked at an ice cream store, and I worked at a bicycle store building bikes. And
I want to circle back to one of the most well-known barbecue people websites, just so everybody heard that again. He managed a tanning salon.
Yes.
Just wanted to hit that one more time. Were you super tan?
I was no, I was I cycled back then. I used to do cycling, like bicycle races, and so every once in a while I'd wreck and have these scabs and stuff. So my excuse was that I had these scabs that were healing, and
couldn't.
If you tanned, then it would
burn through.
It would forever show these scars. So no, I never tanned, but I was the manager, and I was getting people to buy our memberships and tan at the place. So
that's funny.
Yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. And
you really are.
I did the PR stuff and the fashion stuff. And
tanning,
graffiti
Wendy's,
art,
art,
high-end online art auctions.
Really?
Stuff.
Huh. Was it your mom and dad who was your biggest barbecue influence because they did the brisket, or is it Meathead? Who's your biggest influence in barbecue?
Oh, influence, yeah, it would have to be my parents. I mean, otherwise I would have never had the reason to go out and buy a smoker and grill before we had even unpacked the boxes at our first house. That was really the jumping off point. And all of these other people, the TV personalities that I've met, the competitors that I've met, the people like you that I've met, the people on the Amazing Ribs team that I met and still know, all these people have just added to it.
Right.
They've made me who I am. The time at Burger King made me who I am. The time in New Orleans made me who I am.
Yeah.
All of it.
It added to the pieces, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that I've always lived by is never burn bridges.
I 100% agree.
I've had some horrible bosses in my life, but I've never burned bridges.
Yeah.
I had a boss that was just awful. He would have us work on Christmas Eve, and he'd lock his door like he was busy, so people couldn't leave at 2:00 on Christmas Eve. And just a horrible person. But I had a client at the time that was an online auction site. When eBay was kind of in its infancy, they had the idea to take high-end auctions, these auction houses, and bring them online so people could actually bid on a Warhol or whatever live online. So they were a client of mine, and I fell in love with the people. They were based in the UK, and talked them into giving me a job to kind of start up their U.S. presence.
Yeah.
So I had to go to this guy and tell him that I was leaving the company to go to work for a client, and he agreed. We had to sign a contract that we'd keep them employed as the PR firm and whatever, but he let me go. And then the .com bust happened.
Right.
And I got a call from the UK that said, you need to fire all the staff, and then after that, you need to fire yourself. So the financial markets are horrible, and
Right.
Things are horrible. And, I've got our first kid and everything, and I called this guy, and he offered me a job. He said, however long you need it,
Wow.
whether it's a few months or a year or whatever, just until you figure out what you want to do next,
Yeah.
come back to work for me. And, I've always believed that, you don't burn bridges.
That's right.
And relationships are the most valuable commodity you'll ever have.
I 100% agree. I think relationships, whether it's personal, business, whatever it is, it's what life's about.
Yeah.
I think that's
you and I, we reach
Yeah.
out to each other whenever
that's right. There's opportunities
you've
or
got-
ideas, and
you've got things that I need and I got things that you need, but it's not like that, like we're taking advantage of each other. It's
but it's more interest.
making each other better because of our shared knowledge and experience.
I love that, and that's kind of how I live. I feel like that I'm always trying to learn. Someone might think of me as an expert in something, but really I'm always learning. I'm calling my friends on my barbecue team, and getting advice and thoughts. This past year, I don't know if you know this, but we tied for first in beef brisket. No,
Really?
I didn't cook it, but my James Crocker, who is on our team, he's great,
wow.
and Tom Cassidy. And so I'll go to them and go, okay, I have this new item. I need some tasted or tried, or I need some language. I need some language with it, because, and so I get help from them a lot. And so I agree. I think keeping great relationships is super important, and never burning a bridge. You might not like someone. You might not. It doesn't matter. Just move on, but you never know
it's never
who you
gonna
come back in contact with.
Yeah, it's never
It's
going to do
amazing.
you good. The world is not that big, and somewhere down the line, you're going to
And I can tell you, and I can tell you this too. They don't care. If you burn a bridge, it's all in your mind, and the other person, the other person just moves on just fine.
You can burn up a lot of space in your mind thinking about other people and
what they think.
Something that you've blown up in your head.
It doesn't
They've
even
gone
matter.
on with their
That's
lives.
right.
They've never thought of you for a minute. So.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, but
so is there anything on you've done a lot of things. Anything on your bucket list that you haven't done that you want to do?
Oh well, I'm always looking for something. We were supposed to go to Spain. My kids have never been overseas.
Okay.
We've never taken them anywhere internationally, so we planned this trip that took me forever to piece together.
For last
gonna
year?
fly into Naples and then take the train over to Barcelona, and I'm going to be eating at this Michelin star restaurant. Got the reservations. Got up at 3 a.m. or whatever local time was in Spain, and secured this recipe. And we're like 3 days away from leaving, and they shut down international travel.
Oh my gosh.
COVID. So it's bad, but the worst thing would have been 3 days on the
If
other
you would've
side
gotten
where
stuck.
I'm there.
No, I agree.
And it sounds great being in Barcelona stuck, but
Not forever. Not for a year.
you're paying a hotel bill, and you're paying
Right.
to feed the family, and you're burning through savings.
Right.
So,
So
to get back to international traveling, and
So do
I'm
you
a big
have an idea
art
of
fan. I
when you
love
might?
art, so I like to go out to these museums in these countries,
Yeah.
see that stuff.
So do you have a plan to go back to do your Spain trip?
We were going to plan it for next spring,
Yeah.
and then I did the stupidest thing ever, and it's all on me. You and I, about the meetup in Memphis event
Absolutely.
that we're doing with
So
Amazing
first of all, the
Ribs.
name is great. So tell the name is the
it's
Meetup.
in Memphis,
MEAT.
MEAT. And this was an idea that Meathead and I had a concept 5 years ago or so to actually find a way to bring the Pitmaster Club alive, and all of these people that had only forged these friendships online,
Yeah.
they've never actually met in person. So how do we bring that to life? We decided to do this consumer-focused barbecue conference.
Yeah.
You know, all the conferences that exist are for restaurateurs and for product manufacturers or retailers.
Yep.
There's never been just a conference for consumers
Yep.
to come and, sit in on seminars,
Yeah.
eat the local food and whatever. And since I'm in Memphis, we decided to kick it off in Memphis and maybe make it like a passport thing where
Right.
you encourage people to hit every meetup.
Yep.
You know, each year you do a different city and whatever.
Right.
Great idea. So we started piecing it together and scoping out locations. Like, do we do a tasting event during a Red Sox game, and all of these ideas. And so it was supposed to be last year, and we had like 400 people signed up, and it organized to do a welcome dinner and then to do this bus tour that you were going to be a part
Right.
of, where we went to different barbecue restaurants.
Yeah, you're doing like
And-
a stop in at all the barbecue restaurants. and
Yeah.
try the signature dish
Yeah,
or whatever.
so it was going to be last year,
Right.
and COVID happened, so we decided to move it to this August, in a couple weeks.
Right.
But a few months ago, the vaccines were still kind of
Right.
rolling out, and a lot of the attendees were older people,
Yeah.
and they just didn't feel comfortable
Right.
booking a flight. So we moved it to next March, and we picked some dates, Meathead and I, in conjunction with the Peabody. The Peabody has been great in letting us change this event 3 times
Right.
now. But, they've dealt with it with everything at the hotel. So we picked these dates, and I've been reaching out to all the people that have signed up in the past. Some of these people going back like 3 years.
Right.
They signed
'Cause
up.
they
and
were like, I'm doing it.
They forgot all about it.
Right.
When I send them an email, they're like, oh, that,
Yeah,
I gave you $100 back in 1906. And I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm his great-great-grandchild. So anyway, we came to these dates with the Peabody and everything, and one of these guys that had been signed up is like, oh no, that's our kid's spring break. I'm like, M and F'er.
And that's
Those
my
are the
kids'
dates that, and it was great because UT Austin, where our oldest is, their dates line up with our kids who are here in high school and middle school.
Right.
The spring break dates were perfect, but out of every weekend in the entire year,
That's the one you
I
picked.
picked that one. So anyway, long story short, we're aiming to go next summer.
Good.
Knock on wood.
Yes. Well, I don't know if your
And
travel
meetup will
plan
happen
I don't know if
in
your
the
travel
spring.
plans will include San Sebastian, but it's the foodie mecca of the world. It is
Really?
unbelievable. And I'll tell you, I can get you somebody who tours. She's amazing. Her
Yeah.
name is Escarne. I'm not too
Okay.
good at accents, but there's more. Come on in. There's more little Michelin or chefs there, restaurants than
Wow.
anywhere, and it's this
Really?
beautiful little town on the western coast, almost to France, San Sebastian.
Okay. Yeah, I think
It's like a foodie mecca.
we'll
It's
probably end up
unbelievable.
just doing Barcelona for
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
The idea of splitting it between Madrid and Barcelona was great, but having to cancel all of those.
Oh my gosh, I
things
can't
was,
imagine.
It was horrible because I had pieced together like frequent flyer miles and free vouchers,
Right.
and it was
Now it's
just
all-
like this massive house of cards that I had
Right.
built, and then I had to deconstruct it on the phone with Delta 3 days before I was supposed to leave.
Well, you
Whatever.
are
So-
lucky. That's very fortunate that
So anyway, yeah,
you didn't
we're-
get there.
We'll go to Barcelona, and
Good.
they've got some great street art there that I want to.
Barcelona's awesome.
and food and a little bit of everything for the entire
Barcelona's
family.
great. What's the little?
Yeah.
What's the street you go up and Rambla, whatever. I can't remember.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that's great.
for somebody that's
They have
never been there, I'll agree
it's
with you.
at the end they have. Yeah, it's awesome. Spain is great.
Yeah.
Tell me about the meetup one more time. Is it solely sold out?
No, we've still got a handful of spots left.
Yeah.
It should be spectacular.
I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be
two or
awesome.
the 3 date changes have actually been beneficial, although it's taken up an infinite amount of me and Meathead's time that could have been spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because everything we did 2 years ago had to be redone last year, had to be redone this year, and whatever. But it helped us fine-tune some elements that we thought were great out of the gate, like the bus tour.
Right.
Once I started looking at a map of Memphis and trying to figure out this, you got 400 people
Right.
on multiple buses going to multiple restaurants.
One little snag.
It was a recipe for disaster. So now we're going to do a Taste of Memphis event, kind of like one of those food and wine events at
it's
the
gonna be
Peabody
awesome.
in the main ballroom and have you guys and a few other great barbecue
I can't
joints
wait.
there. And then my friends at Gus's Fried Chicken are going to be there just because everyone needs some Gus's Fried Chicken in their life when they're
Everyone
here.
needs some Gus's Fried Chicken.
Yeah, so we're going to kick it off. It's March 18th through 20th. We do still have some spots available.
Yeah.
If you go to the Amazing Ribs site, there's a ad on the homepage where it's just amazingribs.com/Memphis.
I think it's really cool because most barbecue events revolve around barbecue competitions.
Yeah.
But if you're not in that space, well, there's nothing else there. And this is really filling that gap of learn and love all about barbecue. Maybe you just do it at home for your friends and family.
Yep.
But get ingrained in it and know more about it. But you also, especially here, you get to try all these different barbecue restaurants, a little signature piece from each one.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be so cool for people coming in from out of town.
If they want, they could stay an extra night. The Peabody's given us great rates.
Yeah.
So if they want to stay an extra day or two and go to the Civil Rights Museum or
Beale Street, everything Memphis has to offer downtown.
Stuff, they can, if they like one or two restaurants that Sunday, they can go and hit them up on Mondays.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're going to do a welcome dinner that Friday. Then we're going to have really cool seminars during the day on Saturday.
Yeah.
Including a panel that myself and Craig David Meeks, who wrote a great book on the history of Memphis barbecue, we're going to have a panel that kicks it off just on Memphis barbecue and what makes it unique. And maybe I'll get you in there and some other people to answer questions and kind of talk about why dry rub ribs are so representative of Memphis, or why bologna is smoked again,
I love
barbecue
bologna.
spaghetti, or
I was just about to say that.
barbecue nachos, all these things that are so
regional.
Memphis.
So it's not even region, it's really Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got Mark Lambert, a great competitor who's doing a whole hog cook that Saturday night.
Which is fascinating just in itself.
Yeah, he's gonna let people watch and prep those on Friday, and then he's going to cook them in a parking lot near the Peabody, and then we'll have a pig picking Saturday night and the Taste of Memphis event on Sunday, and then we're going to have a Beale Street Bash that night at Silky O'Sullivan's.
Barbecue lovers from all over.
Get some goats drunk and full of barbecue.
And with some divers with a bunch of buckets with a bunch of straws in it.
Hey, I'm not carrying all those meetup attendees back to the hotel. I am saying that now.
All right. So for dessert, hold on, ready? Listen. You like that? Dessert?
Yeah.
So I picked strawberry cake from you because I know that you lived in New York for a long time, but you're from Dallas, live in Memphis now. But to me, it's so Southern, like strawberry cake. And we have a strawberry cake, strawberry icing.
Look at that perfect ice cream, too. Is that actually mashed potatoes?
It's actually real. You can eat it.
Really?
But let me tell you,
the food photographers.
Let me tell you the best way to have this cake.
All right.
Is warm it in the microwave for about probably 10 seconds. Just a little warmer than room temperature.
I gotcha.
It just kind of, the moisture kind of comes up in the cake. It softens the icing. I'm telling you.
Oh, wow.
It makes a world of difference. And
So
it's
do I have to bring my own microwave when I come to Corky's, or you guys
We'll
will
warm
take
it
care
for
of
you.
that?
We'll warm it for you.
At no extra
But if you
charge.
get a
That's
piece
awesome.
to go, then you can just warm it up when you get home.
Yeah.
But just a little bit warm. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So good. So good. Yeah, they did a good job holding the ice cream cold, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I was
Wow.
saying, like, you know, the hardcore food photographers, they got all these tricks, like the ice cream is actually mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
and
or a Crisco
all of this.
with salt or sugar on top, whatever.
Yeah, I've never gotten.
I like to do real food, and
Yep.
at QVC it's real food, and we did lots for the cookbook, and I know there's little tricks and trade, and sometimes we'll use a trick, but really, if you get the food at the right time, right when it's coming off and when it's ready, you don't need anything.
No,
it just
not at
looks
all.
amazing as it is. You really don't, all right,
Yeah,
now that
if you ever see my camera, you'll know that I'm shooting with real food.
well, because it's
just
greasy and got rib rub.
Yeah. And as you can see, I only wear black T-shirts because
I wear black
my wife,
a lot. I make a mess.
Yeah, my wife banned me from white T-shirts because I don't carry napkins. I just use
Right,
my
just
shirt.
use your shirt. No one can
when
tell
I'm
if it's
cooking.
black. Yeah. All right, now that we're dessert section, I'm just going to throw some rapid fire questions. The first thing that kind of comes to your mind. I'm interested on this very first one. Spare ribs or baby back ribs?
For whatever reason, I'm a fan of spare ribs. You know, it's
They're
I don't know,
fattier, I think, and I don't know. I mean, I like them both. We
Yeah,
serve We serve spares at QVC. SL baby backs.
sure.
Um,
I mean, there's more
s-
uniformity whenever I'm serving them
with spare
to
ribs.
guests with spare ribs.
Oh, see,
'Cause
I
you've
think
got,
there's
like-
more uniform with the baby backs.
Really?
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I do.
No, I mean the rack kind of tapers off to one end.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm a spare
Spare
rib
rib.
fan.
All right.
Now, if you do a contest here in Memphis,
Well-
I learned the first one I did, the judges don't like spare ribs
No.
the way they do in
That's right.
KCBS contests.
That's right.
They like the baby backs.
Yeah, and whatever they're liking, it doesn't
That's
matter
what
how
you
good it
gotta
is.
do.
That's what you got to do. So you kind of talked this earlier. Any other hobbies besides barbecue?
Yeah, I collect art. I've got a nice art collection.
love-
It's all street art, graffiti art, like the
Oh, my-
Banksys of the world and folks like that. But yeah, when I worked for that clothing designer,
Yeah.
we did a lot of work with graffiti artists.
Yeah.
So I really got to understand that culture, the art versus, vandalism.
Right.
And we went to court and against the city of New York and helped a lot of real artists, street artists back in the day. So I fell in love
Really?
with that culture and like to keep up with a lot of those artists. And then the other hobby I just took up was DJing.
What?
My birthday.
Oh my gosh!
My wife always has trouble getting me a gift for my birthday because I tend to buy whatever I want.
I think we're very similar in that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait a year
Right.
for my birthday to get whatever the thing is that I
They
want.
want. Yeah.
But I dabbled with DJing at parties and stuff when I
Really?
was in my teens and whatever. Yeah, not seriously.
No, I know.
Just
Yeah.
like I learned.
You know how to put the playlist
basic
together.
methodology behind beats per minute and how to combine them. So I was like, hey, why don't you buy me a DJ mix
Yeah.
table or whatever? And so it's on my desk in my office between my two computers. And every once in a while, I'll just turn it on and I've got all my music
Yeah.
on the desktop computer. And I'll just have a DJ dance party in
That's
my office
awesome.
by myself.
My wife's gonna listen to this and go, "Oh no." She'll think, "Now I want that."
Yeah, so I keep-
something I didn't know I wanted.
I keep telling my kids they should invite friends over and dad will DJ in the backyard.
And they're like,
have a DJ pool party. with all the teens.
That would be
gardens
awesome.
Of Germantown.
Any tips for better grilling or better barbecuing? Like a quick, easy.
Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Try new things and step out of your comfort zone. I think backyard grillers are doing that more and more. You know, it's no longer just about hot dogs and hamburgers,
Right.
or that chicken that is burnt on the outside, like I talked about earlier,
Yes.
with the burnt on sauce
Yep.
and medium rare on the inside. I mean, people's cooking methods have evolved, and you know they're trying new things. So do that. You know, try things that move you outside of your comfort zone, and maybe think up a crazy idea like some of the things I've
Yeah.
done. I've failed a lot of times doing that stuff, but failure makes you bigger and badder and bolder.
Absolutely, it does. So what's your barbecue uniform? I know you're in t-shirts a lot.
Yeah.
That's you,
Yeah,
t-shirt?
the greatest thing about leaving New York is that I've got one end of my closet on the hanging racks that's all button-down T-shirts and ties and dress pants. The dress pants don't fit me anymore, but all of that stuff,
It's
I
still
don't
there.
have to wear it anymore.
Right.
You know, it's just collecting dust down on that end.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe I have to go to a wedding sometime in my future, but my closet is literally like 60, 80 T-shirts,
Yeah.
a few pairs of shorts. I got into wearing track pants
Okay.
just because that's
Because
even
they're
easier.
elastic.
Just because
You can just pull them on. The
I
ultimate
wasn't already
lazy.
comfortable enough wearing no shoes and a T-shirt and shorts. Why not go to sweatpants? So I'm
The
just like
that's the COVID pants.
yeah, I'm like the laziest person ever. But again, I'm maybe 10 feet from my bedroom to
Right.
my office.
Right.
So who am I trying
that's
to
right.
impress?
That's right. What about a grilling accessory? A must-have grilling accessory.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of gadgets.
Yep.
You know, I like long-handled tongs and
me too.
spatula.
Me too.
You know, the longer the better, so you're not singeing your arm
Yep.
hairs.
Yep.
I've got pretty much. Well, I have one of every cooker in my backyard. Just, you know, whatever whim I'm in for the day. It may be a pellet smoker.
That's
or
what I was going to ask you
charcoal
on down
grill
here.
or
How
whatever,
how
but-
many grills or smokers do you have? And
I would say just going
Yeah.
back, grill grates are a great addition to any grill, and this is not a paid promotion
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But if you go to grillgrates.com, they're just
they raise it up off the.
and they even out the cooking temperature across the surface of your grill,
Mm-hmm.
so they even out that heat, and it's got raised
Yep.
grates.
I have some of those.
So if you're into the perfect cross hatching on your steaks, which I'm not,
Right.
those are awesome for it. Or you flip them over to the flat side, and you can get a beautiful sear on your steak.
Yeah. Yeah, I
instead.
have
But
some of
are-
those.
Yeah, it's a
They're
nice
great. They're great.
addition to your cooker.
That's cool. Who's your top 5 biggest or best pit masters?
Damn,
You've worked with a lot of them, or you know a lot of them.
I don't
besides
know. I don't know that I
Meathead,
want to. I don't
you don't
know
wanna
that I want
say.
to go there.
Okay, good.
I know so many of them.
That's all right.
Meathead just got inducted into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, so he and I are.
That is awesome.
Yeah, the induction ceremony is at the American Royal
Yeah.
Barbecue Contest in Kansas City in a couple months. So we're going to go there. And, you know, now that I don't compete anymore, that and Memphis in May and judging at the Jack Daniels Invitational,
Yeah.
those are opportunities for me to get out there and see friends that
Right.
these people that I've known now forever, you know, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, like people like Tuffy Stone and Chris Lilly, the folks that you see on TV.
Yep.
We've
Become friends.
grown very close over the years. So being able to hang out with them and some of the lesser known folks that I competed with up on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And they're all great in their own
In their own
rights.
way, yeah.
You know, some of them are TV celebrities. Some of them are the winningest folks out there.
Right.
competition circuit. So, nah, I'm not gonna.
That's good. That's good. What's something you can't do?
I'm not a very good juggler.
Oh, well, that's totally random and fast too.
Well,
Very fast. I mean, wow.
there's a lot of things I can't do,
Okay.
so I focus on what I can
Oh,
do.
good.
Maybe learn a new skill like DJing or
DJing. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm going to see that in my future. I have the big PA system. And
I don't know
lighting.
if it's cool or sad that I have.
It's okay.
DJ
we'll go with
dance
cool.
Parties
We'll go
by
with
myself.
cool. We'll go with cool. Don't
Yeah.
ask the kids. Don't ask the kids.
No, not at all.
What's your favorite vacation spot? Since you mentioned you were going to go to Spain.
Oh, there's so many places I'd love to go again once we can. You know, we've been to, my wife and I honeymooned in Florence.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of my favorite cities. Italy is just a wonderful
It is.
place to go. The people are so welcoming.
The food's amazing.
And the language is not that difficult to understand.
And everyone speaks English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place, great food. Florence is a very walkable city. I'd
It is.
love to go back there, but you know, we're not getting any
See new
younger,
places.
so I'd like to see new places.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you like your steak cooked?
My steaks get more and more complicated every time I cook them. I'm on the mid-rare side,
Okay.
which is
Yeah,
between rare and medium rare.
yeah.
But
That's pretty rare.
yeah, it's pretty rare. I like to enjoy the beef. I don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill it on the grill, but it's I pre-salt them, let them air dry overnight, then I reverse sear them where they're cooking over indirect heat,
Yeah,
you know, to get some nice smoke on it.
yeah.
Bring them up to like 115 degrees, and then
Then, sir?
fast sear on
Yeah.
those upside down grill grates to
Yeah.
get a beautiful sear on the outside, and then some nice finishing butter like Irish butter.
See, I always do a steak butter. I love it.
Yeah, and you know, I'll even roast some bone marrow the day before and mix that into room temperature butter.
Wow.
And just like try to kill myself.
That sounds like a heart
steak
attack.
on a plate.
Yeah, marrow
But if
in
you're going
butter
to go
on a
out,
steak.
that's a good way to go out.
That's right. I agree with flavor.
Exactly.
All right. So last question. So how many smokers do you think you have? Smokers or grills?
Right now, if I had to guess, there's probably 8 in the backyard. My wife has a 1 in, 1 out rule.
Oh,
So
you
I
can-
do
you have a
to-
max.
Yeah, I've got to play favorites. You know, every once in a while, Max, our barbecue and grill, our smoker and grill reviewer,
Yeah.
during the summer months, he gets inundated. So every once in a while, I'll have to step in and do one. Right now, I've got an offset smoker, you know, like a wood
Yeah.
burner offset
Yeah.
that I've got to review. So that's taking up space. But yeah, 1 in, 1 out. So I've got a Komodo Kamado, which is like the creme de la creme
Yeah.
of ceramic cookers.
Right.
I've got my favorite cooker is a 27-inch Weber kettle grill, which is, you know, the kettle grill that
Just the classic.
Everyone-
That's the classic.
everyone grew up with their grandparents
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. They had a Weber kettle and a bag of Kingsford charcoal.
That's
And
right.
That's
That's what barbecue's.
iconic
Yes, it's very
backyard
iconic.
grilling.
Yeah.
That's America. So the 27-inch is a larger version of that, but it allows you, most times that I grill, the bulk of the times that I grill, I do a 2-zone setup.
Uh-huh.
So you'll put the heat, the charcoal on one half,
Right.
and then you'll have no heat on the other half. So it's a 2-zone fire, and it allows you the flexibility of doing direct heat and indirect
Yeah.
heat. So like I mentioned with the reverse sear steak, I can
You do
start
both.
it over on the cooler side and then finish it on the
Yeah.
hot side. And that 27-inch grill
Plenty of
gives me
space.
lots of room to play around with, or if I have to cook for a large crowd.
You have any gas grills?
I've got one gas grill.
What about smokers?
My gas grill, I've had a number of gas grills over the years, but I went a stretch of almost 3 years with an empty propane tank. That's,
You didn't even
that's
notice.
that's about how often
kinda
I use
telling.
the gas grill. If I'm in a hurry.
In a hurry.
and-
That's what I say they're good for. is
And-
when you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
And you want a little bit of that flavor, you're going to get a little bit with the fire, but
Yeah, and that's why I've fallen in love with pellet smokers as well.
have you?
If I'm
They've
gonna,
become all the rage. Huge.
Yeah, and it's people can hate on it.
Yeah.
They can say that it's an oven and all that stuff.
Right.
You're setting the temperature,
yeah.
but it's simple. I'm not impressing anyone.
Right.
At my
You just wanna cook
house.
great food.
Yeah. So if I'm doing a rack of ribs, a couple racks of ribs for the family to cook the next day, I can put it on the pellet smoker, let it cook all night. I can sleep. I don't have to have temperature probes going off in the middle of the night.
Right.
All of that
It all
stuff.
does it for you.
Yeah, so it's the one thing that they haven't really mastered. A few manufacturers have, but high heat searing really isn't a strong suit
Right.
of pellet cookers because
temp
they
doesn't get up there.
intrinsically they've got one little fire pot
Right.
at the bottom that the pellets feed into,
Yeah.
and that creates the heat. So to
Maybe
get 'em up
maybe
to,
that's
like,
going to be the next big thing. Another
yeah,
heat
they're
source. And
they're getting there,
Yeah.
but it's to get it up to 600, 800 degrees. That's really where that gas grill would have to come in.
yeah. Well, Clint, I appreciate you coming today, and I think
Yeah,
that's a
thanks
great
for
way to
having
end with
me.
all these smokers and grills, and I hope that everybody listening checks out AmazingRibs.com. And
now I got to see how big my pockets are for all these leftovers.
that's right, and we'll get you some boxes, and we can, and like all the other customers say, can you wheel me out of here? We can wheel you out. But thank you so much for joining. It was great talking to you, and
Thank you. No,
I'm
it's been
looking
a
forward
ton of fun.
I'm looking forward to next March.
Yes,
March for the
18
meet
through
up,
20.
MEAT up, and then what's your
And meet the
It's-
great grandchildren of the folks that
the people who originally
signed
signed up. And so, Clint, I'm going to leave with this. I hope you enjoyed your meal and ribbing with me. I know that I had a great time talking to you. My hope is to inspire everyone listening to call up an old friend or someone they want to get to know better, invite them over for a meal, and have a great conversation.
up. Oh, spot on.
All right.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Clint.